Zoning amendments, Section 9, zoning board of review, powers and duties, and Appendix A, schedule of zoning fees, charges, and expenses. This is a public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing. Roll call. Oh, is there a second?
Second.
Roll call. Roll call.
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara? Yes. Mr. Lemke?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes. So, what these, looks like most of what they're doing, for the most part, for the first section of this, is they're just looking to clean up some of the wording on this, correct? It was,
Yes, Mr. President, it's to reflect the changes in state law regarding notification and then the to match up the fees to what is reasonable.
was this a reduction in fees or an increase in fees?
Significant reduction.
Oh, good, all right. So, if we can open up to the, towards the red. So these fees then, because I was looking this over, and some of these fees are crazy.
Yeah,
Like $600 for a special use permit?
they were going about 1,200, 1,300 before we revised it, so a lot of it is.
So that 600 is a revision?
Yes, it's almost half.
No kidding. That seems crazy.
I don't know.
A lot of that is, the ordinance states right now, states that we have to, we shall advertise twice, whereas the Enabling Act says it only has to be advertised once, and the notification can go out first-class mail instead of certified mail, which is a savings of about $6.20 per notification.
Well, I'm not putting you on the spot, but there's, advertising is a separate charge, or it's an additional, like $600 plus
Oh, absolutely,
advertising.
but the advertising price was actually twice that,
Was it really?
yes.
Just because it seems so high to me, can you tell me, like, what some of these other ones were? Like, did everything get pretty much cut in half? Or?
Well, basically, what we have there on the zoning fees is, as you know, the zoning board of review is a volunteer group, so we do not pay our zoning board. Basically, the only charges we are charging the applicant are for the stenographer and for the zoning secretary. Those are the two consistent charges for every meeting that we have.
Okay.
And then just after that, and then it goes into, like I said, the advertising, notification, and recording.
Again, not to put you on the spot.
No,
but,
absolutely.
how much money have you built up? How much do you have? You know.
I don't know. It should be a net negative, a lot of these charges, because basically we're charging the applicants, but then we turn around and we're paying it out for the notification, we're paying it out for the stenographer, we're paying it out for the zoning secretary.
Well, they pay back the stenographer.
Correct. So it's a net neutral.
Mr. McGee, you would
What's that?
you're a kind of builder, kind of.
Yeah,
You build these fees. Are these?
They were high before. This is a lot better.
It's a lot
Having
better.
the price, you know? I'm glad to see you doing something about it.
Yeah, I am too.
And like you say, you asked a good question. Where is it coming from? It's stenographer.
The catalyst of this was Mr. D'Annunzio on the zoning board. We had an applicant who came before the board fourth quarter of last year. He needed a 13-inch relief for a side setback for a plate to put a one-car garage. It cost him $1,200. That wasn't including, he didn't have an attorney. If he needed an attorney, that would be a part of the charge. Anything else would be on top of that. The way I look at it is any kind of zoning approval that goes in usually means the town is going to realize something on the tax end at the end. So in that addition, you're going to have a new garage. That's all going to be added to the tax roll on the other end. So.
Because I look at it as a tax, it's a tax. You know, you want to do something, it's going to cost you. It's a tax, any way you look at it. But all right, no, I appreciate that you guys did that and you lowered the fees, because
And to be honest with you, you don't want to be too low because you do not want to open up for frivolous zone. People are just going to ask for the most ridiculous, you
makes
know what I'm
sense.
saying, at least have.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about commercial, special use permits or any kind of dimensional, it's cost of doing business. They can write that up on their business expenses.
all right, no, I appreciate it.
Okay.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, not at all.
Carl.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Carl, in here it's proposed to remove certified mail with return receipt requested.
Correct.
And it's just by first-class mail.
Correct.
Is this a new state rule?
There is, it's what's called the mailbox rule. It's assumed if you mail it, it reaches the intended recipient. But we are going actually one step further on this. We're actually double checking with the tax assessor for the up-to-date owners to make sure we're sending it to the right address.
History-wise, going back to planning, we used to just first-class mail it, and people would not show up because if they showed up, they knew they had notification. We would get correspondence saying that I was not notified. So the planning board years ago came back and created certified mail with return receipt request. All of the legwork, all of the research was the responsibility of the applicant. So if it was back, so if it's $6 today to send out a receipt request, if there were any error in notification, it was no longer the town's responsibility. Now, it was done for a couple of reasons. One, there was one person in the planning department back then. Same thing with zoning, where the staff has expanded somewhat. But I'm really concerned that unless the state is okay with first-class mail, I can see there could be some folks coming in after meetings saying, I did not know. Well, it was in the Valley Breeze. Well, I own the residence, but I live in Worcester. And, I wasn't notified, so that's my concern.
Correct. It's right in section 45-2441 of the Rhode Island General Law.
Yeah.
And it's subsection B, about halfway through the paragraph. And it says, and shall be a public notice at least 14 days prior to the date of the hearing in the newspaper or general circulation in the city or town. Notice of hearing shall be sent first-class mail to the applicant.
First-class mail?
First-class mail to the applicant and to at least all those who would require notice under 45-24-53.
So the applicant I would understand because A, they're watching for their scheduled date.
Correct.
Abutters, a little different.
It does mention anybody who would need to be notified by.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
If you could just explain something else. Under section 9.5, the page, not paginate, so I can't send you to a page,
Mhm.
but section 9.5B. And it's repetitive petitions. Can you explain B to me? Do you have it?
Let's see. (9.5B) repetitive.
Yes.
Oh, you just read the language and I'll have you
Can we read it?
Yeah.
Okay, under B. Or where, after 6 months of the date of such denial withdrawal, the applicant is accompanied by an affidavit setting forth facts to the satisfaction of said board showing a substantial change in circumstances justifying a re-hearing.
That's existing. That's
Okay.
existing.
So why, it says comment as a CJ 14, I didn't know, and it's in blue. You want to see it?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's right, I'm just trying to figure it all out.
I believe that may be just a spelling error.
Oh, okay, thank you. And basically, we're looking at the fee schedules that were revised from 2008, and now it's going to be 10 years later, we're looking at fee schedules among other things.
Correct.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any questions? Thank you.
Got the continuance meeting?
Yes, this is a public hearing for the first reading.
So, Mr. President, we're looking for a date to continue. Ms. Buddy, do you have a calendar?
First, I'm going to make a motion to continue the public hearing to a date certain.
Right.
Also.
Next meeting, would you like the next meeting or?
Next meeting, the 20th.
The 20th or the 4th of September?
20.
Fine. Mr. President, make a motion to continue this to August 20th meeting.
I second that one.
Roll call?
Mrs. Bonneville? Yes. Mrs. McGee?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara? Yes. Mrs. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mayor Dunn?
Yes. Okay, moving on to number 9. Motion by council vote of action on scheduling a public hearing date regarding the zoning ordinance amendment, chapter 18, promotion of stone walls preservation.
Mr. President, if I may, we're here to schedule it. It's on the agenda. We have a packet that came from the planning board with their observations and their vote for consistency with the comp plan. But I noticed that Conservation Commission, pretty much most of them are sitting here this evening. Would we mind some input from that?
Welcome.
And also, Mr. Saw serves on the ad hoc committee that serves on this.
Can't eat very well back here tonight.
Yeah, turn up your attention. Yeah.
Good evening, Paul Soers, Conservation Commission. And I served on the ordinance committee recommending this stonewall preservation ordinance. And I see that the planning board voted 5-0 in favor of the ordinance. But then, because it is consistent with the comprehensive plan for the reasons they stated, and I'm sure you have this, and then they made a second motion that the ordinance is not necessary. And that passed by a vote of 4-1, and I'm curious, isn't that inconsistent and even contradictory? They say it's a good ordinance, it's worthy, it's consistent with the comp plan, and then they say it's not necessary. Why is it not necessary if it's a good ordinance?
I had this question to ask myself.
Okay,
Yeah.
it just seems, it's contradictory. I think it's convoluted thinking. But anyway, that's really not what I wanted to bring to your attention. In your consideration of this proposal, I just wanted to be sure that you had information that should have been submitted to you by the ordinance committee. I'm not sure you have the findings of fact, methods to establish or estimate the age of a stone wall, a report by the Heritage Landscape Inventory fact sheet, a letter of support from the Blackstone River Valley National Heritage Corridor Commission, a letter of support from the North Smithfield Conservation Commission, and a letter of support from the North Smithfield Historic District Commission. And if I might, I have just 3 copies of this, if I give them to someone there for your consideration in moving this forward one way or the other.
In preparation.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could, yeah, we'll take it, and then we'll have to give it to the clerk. Thank you.
I've got 3 copies, Vice President.
Yeah, thank you. One to the clerk. You know, Paul, if you don't mind, would you do that to solicitor my copy? Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Again, I'm not sure if you've got those letters of support in
No,
the packet.
it's not here.
And I feel it's important for you to realize that there are organizations that support this. And if you give me 1 minute here, I'd like to read a sentence from the findings of fact. There's a book, Exploring Stone Walls by Robert Thorson, University of Connecticut. He's a recognized expert on stone walls in New England. And he says that there's a strong, growing, and recent trend towards greater protection of stone walls, especially in New England where they are signatures of the rural landscape. The movement is supported at all levels by individuals, nonprofit organizations, and local governments. Those letters of support obviously represent nonprofit organizations. There are certainly individuals who are in favor of stone wall preservation. 5 towns in Rhode Island have a stone wall protection ordinance. Others have regulations regarding stone wall alteration. So anyway, we've got individuals and nonprofit organizations supporting this, and I would like you to be a local government that supports it.
So, we had Mr. Lentz up here from the Ordinance Review Committee, and he presented an ordinance that was kind of restricting with the stone walls, similar to, it wasn't a lot unlike what you're presenting here. And we asked him to go back and redo that, didn't we? And
I'll tell you, I've been fighting this stone wall thing for 6 years.
so we asked him to go back and do it because we thought it was too, and he agreed that he was going to come back with a version of it that would be more of, and encourage you to keep your stone walls, but not really, if you wanted to move your stone wall on your property, that was your right to do it. And that's pretty much where the direction I thought we were going with that. That's why I'm a little surprised that. Yeah, so, and being that Mr. Lentz is on the planning board, maybe that's why that came back 4-1, to not recommend that ordinance.
We can hash this out in a public hearing.
Because at one point, they wanted to give tax credits for having a stone wall. I'm like, are we kidding? Like, who are they to come up with tax
Well,
credits?
they want to figure out what way to incentivize somebody to keep.
Well, some towns do. Smithfield's had a stone wall ordinance since 2007, and one of the aspects of that is a tax credit.
For having a stone wall?
Yeah,
Keeping it.
a small tax credit.
Yeah, it's not.
It doesn't amount to much of anything. But the ordinance committee, the North Smithfield Ordinance Committee decided not to include that. The state of Rhode Island actually states that towns can allow tax credits
Oh, I'm sure you can.
for
I'm
stuff.
just thinking, why?
Well, this is not in our proposal. This is not in the ordinance committee
I'm
proposal.
just saying, I've just been hearing about stone wall ordinance for so long, and I'm like,
Well, maybe it's time you passed it.
maybe it's time you stop bringing it up 3 times like they do. I'm sick and tired of dealing with things for 6 years. When they don't win something, they come up 6 times until you get the right people to vote for it. You know? How about you lose 3 or 4 times, you quit?
Actually, this is the second time. It was 2010, the first time.
Well, they drag on so long.
Well, this was presented by the ordinance committee,
I don't
not by
care.
the
I
conservation
don't
committee.
care.
The conservation commission supports it. It was presented to you by the ordinance committee. And I'm not aware that it was sent back. I'm on the ordinance committee. There's been no meeting to discuss this.
Yeah, Mr. Lentz was
We
here.
were finished with it as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, well, Mr. Lentz was, he never came back after we told him. We rejected what he presented, and we asked him to come back with a version that was less
This
restrictive.
is all news to me. I've been away for a month. Maybe I missed something.
No, it wasn't a month ago, it was early, it was a
Years.
while ago.
Yeah, a year ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
No, I'm still on the ordinance committee, and I am unaware of any reconsideration that was supposed to be.
I contact them, why would you?
You remember that, right?
I do,
Yeah.
I do. And he came up and you told him what you thought, and he said he was gonna tweak it out.
Yeah.
So in essence, like, what's on the agenda tonight is the schedule of public hearing, right?
Yes.
All right, so, it's not to say that Mr. Lenz and I sit on that board as well. It's not to say that this is something we could not address in that time frame. So, there's the 6th of August. I would have no problem asking for a meeting in September, which would give adequate time for the ordinance review committee to review this one more time to try to address Mr. McGee's concerns about if there were some types of tax abatement or tax incentive to retain the walls. It's not in there, I know.
It's not in there, and I think Mr. McGee is opposed to it anyway, so.
What
I
the
am.
If you want us to
opposition
put it in, I don't
No,
care.
I don't.
the opposition is people telling you what you can do with.
Right, yeah. If you've got something you want to do, I don't want to have to go to a special use permit or something to have the ordinance committee or the conservation committee tell me, oh, no, you can't move that stone wall. Oh, my God, you can't do that.
Mr. McGee, did you read the ordinance?
You
It
know
doesn't
what?
say you can't.
I've read your ordinances. I'm just against all the stone wall. Everything about it. I don't want an ordinance about stone walls.
It's
That's
consistent
it.
with the comprehensive
I don't
plan.
care. I don't
Comprehensive plan
care.
says to
I
protect
don't
cultural
care.
resources.
I don't care, I'm a builder.
So you don't recognize it as a cultural